Travis Wayne Goodsell. I just finished watching Bull from last night, their special coronavirus episode. I first heard about Bull as I recognized or knew of Michael Weatherly from NCIS, and was kind of shocked to hear that he was abandoning NCIS to go to a new show, and more disturbed that it was a psychologist show. Because psychology is a pseudoscience. It's not real. And they tried to promote psychology as a scientific means of manipulating juries. And it was very disturbing that they didn't seem to understand how wrong it was with what they were doing, to be able to have a mimic jury in the audience that was supposedly of the same profile as the people on the jury. There are just too many fallacies that the show was not addressing. But over time, watching episode after episode, there were occasional gems of contradiction to psychology and the methods they were using. And for that reason, I kept watching it. Plus, the former Mormon Elijah Dushku was given a contract to be an equal partner on the show with Michael Weatherly, and she decided to throw it all away by joining the Me Too movement to take down another celebrity who didn't need to be taken down. The Me Too movement already took down another CBS actor who had just started a brand new show, and they'd finished season 1, and then Me Too hit and they went after him. I can't remember what happened to him. I think he was found innocent. But when Elijah Dushku went after Michael Weatherly, she messed up. You know, she was pushing her agenda, but at the same time trying to profit off of it. She was trying to replace Michael Weatherly and become the star of this show. And CBS said, no, we compensated you for the rest of your contract, and you accepted it, so just go away. And she didn't want to go away. And so that's why Michael Weatherly's here, but that's why they had him have a heart attack on the court steps at the season finale of the previous season. And then this season, they had him confess as the character to the public for his character's behavior, of which he was accused of in real life. And he married his first wife, or his ex-wife, because you'd have to watch it. But anyway, last night's show was an interesting one, because those little bombshells they throw in that contradict the whole show itself. But in this case, they dropped the bombshell on psychology altogether. This is what I've been telling you guys, but they gave the actual psychological wording for it. The diagnosis, detective or investigative myopia. It's where, like I've been telling you, you create a category You know, you have your victim, or you have the accused in mind. You designate that person as the accused. And so all the evidence you gather, all the research you pursue, focuses on the predetermined person you found guilty. And that's exactly why psychology and all its fields, therapy, counseling, psychiatrists, everybody, are all a part of this field, because they use investigative myopia. That's the categorization. A person comes in, whether willingly or unwillingly, and in most cases it's unwillingly. So the psychologists, whoever it is that takes the person in, they trust that the people who are forcing this person to come in are correct. They don't fact check them. And they claim that's not our job. And so they have a predetermined outcome for the person who's coming in as their patient or client. The categorization box. And I told you it was the Mormon, Stanley Smith Stevens, who created this box categorization in a format with dichotomy and non-dichotomy categorizations. The dichotomy categorization is this way or this way. There are no other ways. Spectrum is the non-dichotomy categorization, which, once you've identified the dichotomous categorization, then you put it into a subcategory, spectrum. And so you can see the spectrum in public use. It's everywhere. That's how pervasive this has been in our society, in separating us into the two dichotomous tribes of liberal or conservative, and then putting us in subcategories. Right now, because a conservative president and government controls America, the Liberal Party are trying to reformat and struggle within each other as to which is going to dominate to try to overcome the conservative. So you've got the progressive movement within the Democrat Party. This is a subcategory of Democrats, just like the Tea Party was a subcategory of Republicans. This is the spectrum. So you have left wing, right wing, and then within left and right wings you have far left, center left, and center right. And that's the spectrum. And so you might remember Facebook, the traitors to America, as they sold our data to Russia. Well, what data were they selling? Not only our personal data, like our phone number, address, or whatever else was used for our Facebook accounts, but also apps that were put on Facebook for our entertainment, as we thought. And so what we would do is, what Disney princess are you? Click here to find out. And then it would ask you a bunch of questions. Those questions were specifically designed upon the spectrum, depending on the category, the non-dichotomous category. And so whatever princess they attached to you at the end revealed the data they needed to target you for misinformation in the 2016 presidential election. They identified you as either Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative, and then targeted advertising for that. And it worked. You guys fell for it. Those are the facts. You fell for it. You got played. And that's the psychological trap, the investigative myopia that Stanley Smith Stevens, Mormon, created. And that's what psychology uses. And that's what the government uses. The CIA uses. That's what the church is trying to do right now. Their church lawyers are trying to do now. They're trying to create a defense of this investigative myopia. Because if they can show the court, well, Travis is a terrorist. He was arrested as a terrorist. See? He was arrested as a terrorist. He's a terrorist. And see, he's still doing it. We contacted Percy Pearson, and he went and lied about Travis, claiming that Travis was being racially, verbally abusive to him. Even though Travis has a recording of the whole incident, nonetheless, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to present a fraud case defense for fooling the judge so that they can dismiss my case. Because that's why they're delaying right now. They're trying to find incriminating evidence or make incriminating evidence to dismiss my case. They can't do it. They won't do it. I already got Percy fired. He can't come back now. I filed a complaint with Adult Protective Services. I filed a complaint with the boss of the property manager who did listen to Percy. And so she's going down too. They're both going down because the church refuses to just say, we give up. You caught us. There's nothing we can do. We don't want this information leaked to the public. Here you go. Here's the church. Go save the world and spend all the money on charity. The church closed. They've got multi-hundreds of billions just sitting around. I guess they're no longer collecting interest because the Federal Reserve dropped it to zero. But at least they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions. But they're not doing anything during this crisis. They're a religious charity. And they claim to be followers of Jesus. What did Jesus do to the sick? Did he quarantine them? I'm sure the GOP Jesus did. That's a hilarious video. GOP Jesus. Hilarious. There are other versions that people have done. They're a bit more crude. That Jesus says a lot of things that you wouldn't expect Jesus to say, but that's the whole point that they're trying to make. And it's not the Matthew 23 Jesus, which is an awesome Jesus. That's the Jesus I model my behavior after, if you haven't figured out by now. And it's the same behavioral pattern of Joseph Smith as well. Both he and Jesus were my inspiration as a youth in the Mormon church. And so it's interesting how Mormons do this as well, because LDS critics don't fit into the myopic view of Mormons. If it's not approved by the church prophets, it's therefore not true. It's fake news. It's apostate. It's anti. And therefore I should stay away like it's satanic. And you Mormons know that. That's why you don't listen to this far into my videos. And so, but that's why, is because of your investigative myopia. is you claim to study the scriptures, but it's under this investigative myopia. And so this morning, when I was, after uploading the other video, I searched the comments and found one from some guy named Scott. Had no picture, and so he may have been a fake site, but he responded to it was my video about the first vision that I did yesterday. That's what it was. And because in the first vision I go over the facts that the church doesn't want us to know about. And so in true form of this investigative myopia of Mormonism, this Scott guy commented with the link comeuntoChrist.org. That's the church's site. One of the church's site. And so I knew exactly what Scott was trying to do. He was saying, the church says this and therefore it is true. That's his myopic vision. And it's a narrow vision of fallacy and lies and cover-ups and falsehoods. And so no, I'm not going to approve that comment. I deleted it. Well, I didn't actually delete it. I reported it as spam. And so it's not going to show up on my site. And if he is a fake site, a channel, they'll take him down. But otherwise, it's also for abusive people. This is what he was doing. He was being abusive. I was presenting facts not entered into evidence by the church. And Scott was trying to discredit those extra historical facts by saying, no, this narrow point of view of the church is the truth. That's abuse. And that's unacceptable. And it's not to be granted free speech, as people who are abusive want to have done. I have the right to say whatever I want, and if I'm going to call somebody an abusive name, or if I'm going to be a liar, I have that right. No, you don't. You've committed a crime. And that crime must be punished. But our society is not designed to do that. We have strayed from the Constitution and the protections therein. Because when you lie, you're hurting somebody. You're taking away the rights of someone else. That's why you can't lie. You can't mislead the public. You can't be abusive. You can't be a bully. You can't be a troll. Because you're taking away the rights of others. That's the difference. And nobody wants to figure that out. They all want to justify allowing abusive speech, bullying, trolling, destroying other people's lives. So, alrighty. Yeah. So that's what the church is up to. And I got the idea, why don't I call them? Because I can't talk to the church. I have to go through their lawyers. So why don't I do that? Why don't I call up today and say, hey guys, this is Travis Wayne Goodsill, federal case 219 CV 00711. I had submitted my waiver of summons, and I'm kind of wondering where my copy is that you were supposed to mail back to me, and see what kind of a response I'll get. Maybe they'll make a deal, and I will record it, so that if necessary, if there's anything juicy, I'll put it on YouTube for you. Because the church tried to say, no, you can't record our conversations, so that we can threaten people over the line and not be punished for it. But the state legislature turned it down. what? They disobeyed the church? Yeah. And so it's still legal in Utah for me to record another person on the other end of the line I can record them without punishment and without notifying them. I don't have to notify them. That was the whole thing. And so this is a public case, and so I want everything to be in the public. And so, yeah, we'll give them a call. Let's see. Oh, there it is. It's on top here. Whoops. So yeah, Curtin McConkey, and there's the phone number. 801 area code. So yeah, we'll give them a call today and tape it and see what we can do to hasten this whole case, because I know what they're up to, and the people that made the false accusation on their behalf are gone silent after I said, hey, I recorded the whole thing. They're lying to you. And so they need to be fired. And as I filed the complaints against them, my goodness, I cleaned that, and it's got these stain spots that don't come off, even with the cleaner solution. Alright, anyway, so yeah, it's coming today. And like I said, you gotta watch the whole videos, because at the end I usually come up with something big, and if I don't come up with something big, I end the video. Otherwise, I keep going. So, those of you who've listened this long, you're gonna understand what's going on when I present the video later on today. For my birthday.